All right, get this, folks. We're diving into something truly mind-boggling today.
Mind-boggling is right.
The possibility of a sixth ocean
Yeah,
forming, like right now. You sent in some articles about this,
right.
and let me tell you, it's not every day you hear about a continent splitting apart.
It's the kind of thing that makes you feel really small.
You're not kidding.
Yeah, in a good way, though.
Okay, so first things first,
Okay.
what exactly is the East African Rift System? The articles mention it,
Right.
but I need a visual,
Okay, so imagine like a giant crack, or a series of cracks, I guess, snaking across Eastern Africa
Yeah.
for over 3,000 kilometers. That's the East African Rift System.
Wow, okay.
And it's basically a massive fault zone where the African continent is slowly being pulled apart.
So like a giant puzzle piece,
Exactly.
slowly breaking off.
That's a great way to put it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and the pieces in question are the Somali and Nubian plates. The Somali and Nubian plates, they're two massive slabs of the Earth's crust that are drifting apart.
So that movement is what's causing the rift to widen and deepen.
Yeah, over millions of years, though. It's a slow process.
Okay, so I get the crack.
Yeah.
But how does a crack turn into a whole new ocean?
Well, it will take millions of years,
Okay.
but the process is already happening.
Really?
Yeah, as those plates pull apart, magma from deep inside the Earth rises up to fill the gap,
Yeah.
creating new oceanic crust.
So it's like the Earth is constantly resurfacing itself.
In a way, yeah.
So we're talking a brand new ocean and a brand new continent then.
Potentially, yeah.
Wow.
It's mind-blowing, right?
What's going to happen to the countries in that area?
Well, it will reshape everything, that's for sure.
I can only imagine.
Yeah, imagine landlocked countries suddenly having coastlines, opening up all these opportunities for shipping and trade.
Sure.
But also, ecosystems are going to change drastically.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Some species are going to have to adapt or face extinction.
The ripple effects are incredible.
There really are.
It must be both exciting and daunting for the people living in those regions.
Oh, absolutely. Adapting to these changes is going to be crucial.
For both people and wildlife.
Yeah.
We're talking about a fundamental shift in the landscape
Right.
and a way of life for millions of people.
For sure.
This is already blowing my mind, and we're just getting started.
We've only just scratched the surface.
I know you mentioned some articles about a recent discovery that added fuel to the fire, so to speak.
Oh, yeah. In 2024,
Yeah.
a massive fissure was discovered in southeastern Africa.
No way.
Yeah. A really dramatic, visible sign that the rifting process is underway.
So we're talking about a crack you can actually see.
Oh, yeah. It stretches for kilometers.
That's both terrifying and amazing.
It really is. It's a visible manifestation of the Earth's power.
To reshape itself.
Exactly. And it provided scientists with really valuable data.
Like,
Well, it confirmed their predictions about the formation of a new ocean.
okay, so how long until we can book our cruises on this sixth ocean? I'm ready to pack my bags.
Whoa, hold your horses.
Okay.
It'll still take millions of years for a full-fledged ocean to form, even though the plates are shifting.
Okay.
We're talking geological timescales here.
All right, so maybe not in our lifetime.
Probably not, no.
But still, this is actually happening, right? It's not just some far-fetched theory.
Oh, it's happening, all right.
Okay, good.
In fact, the peer-reviewed journal Geophysical Research Letters has officially confirmed.
No way, really?
Yeah, this new ocean is in the making.
Wow.
This isn't science fiction, it's scientific fact.
So we're literally watching a continent splitting apart and a new ocean being born.
You got it.
It's hard to wrap my head around the scale of it all.
I know what you mean.
And I imagine this isn't the first time something like this has happened on our planet, right?
You're absolutely right.
Oh, okay.
The formation of the Atlantic Ocean happened in a very similar way.
Oh, wow.
When South America and Africa split apart
Right.
millions of years ago.
So what's happening in East Africa is like a replay
Exactly.
of that ancient event.
It's giving us a front row seat to a process that shaped our world as we know it.
That's incredible. But you know what I'm really curious about?
What's that?
What kind of geographical changes can we expect to see
Okay.
as this new ocean takes shape? Will it just be a giant body of water? Or are we
Right.
talking mountains, islands, who knows what else?
That's where things get really interesting.
Okay, tell me more.
We're not just talking about a crack filling up with water.
Uh-huh.
Imagine a whole new coastline
Okay.
appearing where there was once solid land.
Wow.
the eastern portion of Africa
Yeah.
could eventually become a separate island,
Really?
like a giant Madagascar,
Wow, that's wild.
with its own unique set of geological features.
So we're not just talking about a new ocean.
Yep.
We're talking about a whole new landscape being created. It's like something out of a fantasy novel. What are some specific landforms we might see emerging?
Well, the rift itself is a dramatic feature. It's
Okay.
a series of valleys, volcanoes, and lakes
Uh-huh.
stretching for thousands of kilometers.
Yeah.
And as the rift widens, it'll gradually fill with water
From where?
from the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden.
Oh.
And eventually it'll form a new sea or an ocean basin.
So picture this. Towering mountain ranges,
Yeah.
rising up along the new coastline,
Uh-huh.
volcanic islands
Well,
dotting the ocean,
right.
and maybe even deep trenches forming where the plates are pulling apart.
It's almost too much to imagine
It truly is a spectacle of nature unfolding.
on a tepic scale.
And as this new ocean forms,
Yeah,
it will have a profound impact on the surrounding ecosystems,
for sure.
both on land and in the water.
Absolutely.
That's what I was just thinking about.
Yeah,
Are we talking about new species evolving
potentially.
or existing ones having to adapt to these radical changes?
Both. The creation of a new marine environment will lead to the evolution of unique marine life.
Okay.
And existing terrestrial species will have to adapt to the changing landscape.
Right. Some may not survive the transition.
Sadly, yeah, it's a delicate dance of survival and adaptation playing out over millions of years.
It sounds like a fascinating,
It is.
albeit challenging,
Yeah,
time for the region's biodiversity.
it is.
What are some of the predictions about how the local flora and fauna might change?
Well, it's difficult to say for certain,
Yeah.
but scientists are already observing changes in plant and animal life along the rift.
Really?
Yeah, as the land separates and the climate shifts, we can expect to see new species emerging,
Oh.
while others may face extinction.
It's a reminder that nature is constantly evolving, even on a scale that's hard to comprehend.
It really is.
This is all so fascinating.
I know, it's amazing.
But we haven't even touched on the human impact.
Oh, right.
How will this new ocean affect the people living in the region, beyond the obvious changes to the landscape?
Yeah.
Are there cultural, economic, or even political implications?
Oh, the formation of a new ocean will have a profound impact on human societies in East Africa, that's for sure.
In what way?
Well, some countries will gain new coastlines,
Right.
which could lead to economic opportunities through fishing and maritime trade,
Okay.
potentially reshaping the entire socioeconomic landscape of the region.
That sounds like a positive development.
Yeah,
But I imagine there are also potential downsides
of course. Yeah.
in these changes.
Yeah. Coastal communities will need to adapt to rising sea levels and potential coastal erosion.
Right.
And existing infrastructure like roads and buildings may need to be relocated.
So progress often comes with a price.
It does, unfortunately.
What about the cultural impact? How might this monumental event reshape the cultural landscape of East Africa? Are we talking new traditions, new stories, new ways of life?
Absolutely. The cultural implications are significant. New coastlines could lead to the development of new coastal cultures, while existing inland cultures may experience changes as their landscapes transform.
It's amazing to think about how something as massive as the formation of an ocean can ripple through every aspect of human life.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible.
We've talked about the science, the geography, the ecosystems, and the cultural impacts.
Right.
But I'm curious about the timeline.
Okay.
You mentioned it takes millions of years for an ocean to form.
Yeah.
But do scientists have a more specific estimate for this particular event?
It's tough to pin down an exact timeline.
Yeah, I bet.
You know, these geological processes happen at such a slow pace.
Right.
But based on current observations and models,
Uh-huh.
scientists estimate that it could take anywhere from 5 to 10 million years for a significant body of water to form in the East African Rift.
Okay, so we're talking about a very gradual process.
We are.
But even if it takes millions of years,
Yeah,
it's still happening right now.
that's right.
And that's pretty mind-blowing.
It is.
It makes you realize just how dynamic and ever-changing our planet truly is.
It really does.
So we've covered a lot of ground here, but is there anything else about this sixth ocean that we should know? Any surprising facts or unexpected twists that might blow our minds even further?
Well, one important thing to remember is that this process isn't without its risks.
Oh, okay. Like what?
Well, the volcanic activity associated with rifting can pose hazards to human populations.
Oh, right.
And as the land stretches and breaks apart, earthquakes are a real concern.
That's a sobering thought.
It is.
It's a reminder that even as we marvel at the wonders of nature, we need to be aware of the potential dangers and take steps to mitigate the risks.
Absolutely.
What are some of the things people living in East Africa might experience in the coming decades as this rifting continues?
Well, one of the most noticeable effects will likely be increased seismic activity.
Okay.
As the plates continue to pull apart, we can expect more frequent and potentially stronger earthquakes.
So it's not just a slow, gradual process.
Right.
There could be some dramatic
Yeah.
and potentially disruptive events along the way.
Exactly, and that's why it's so important for scientists to continue monitoring the rift
Okay.
and for governments to invest in preparedness measures.
To mitigate the potential risks.
Yeah, things like early warning systems, building codes that can withstand earthquakes, community education programs.
That makes sense. Are there any other immediate concerns we should be aware of? What about the volcanic activity you mentioned earlier?
Yeah, the volcanic activity associated with rifting is another factor.
Right.
We've already seen eruptions in the region.
Right.
And as the rift widens, there's a possibility of increased volcanic activity.
And that could pose risks.
Yes, to nearby populations. And it could also have implications for air travel and climate patterns.
It sounds like there's a lot to keep an eye on.
There is.
Are there any efforts underway to monitor these potential risks
Oh, absolutely.
and protect the people living in the affected areas?
Yeah, scientists from around the world are collaborating.
That's good.
To study the East African rift system, they're using all this advanced technology
To do what?
to monitor seismic activity, volcanic eruptions, and ground deformation.
Okay.
And this data is crucial for understanding the risks and for developing early warning systems to help protect communities.
That's reassuring to hear.
Yeah.
It sounds like a lot of people are working hard to stay ahead of the curve and minimize the potential negative impacts of this massive geological event.
It really is a testament to the power of scientific collaboration and the importance of investing in research and monitoring to safeguard our planet and its inhabitants.
This has been an incredibly insightful deep dive so far.
It has been fascinating.
It's amazing to think that we're witnessing the birth of a new ocean in our lifetime.
I know, Reed.
Even if it won't be really formed for millions of years.
It's still incredible.
It really puts things in perspective, doesn't it?
It certainly does. It makes you realize just how dynamic and ever-changing our planet truly is.
And it sparks so many questions about what the future holds.
For sure.
Speaking of questions, this deep dive has definitely raised a few for me.
I like what?
Like, how will this new ocean impact global weather patterns?
Okay, yeah.
And what kind of economic opportunities and challenges will it create for the countries involved?
Those are great questions.
They are.
And they're exactly the kind of things scientists are actively studying.
It seems like this is just the beginning of a very long and fascinating story.
It is, and it's a story that will continue to unfold for millions of years to come.
This has been an incredible journey so far.
It has.
But before we wrap up this part of our deep dive,
Okay.
I'd love to hear your take on this.
Okay.
What's the most fascinating aspect of this whole sixth ocean phenomenon for you?
For me, it's the sheer scale and power of the geological forces at play.
Yeah.
To think that entire continents can be reshaped over millions of years.
I agree. It's a reminder that we're just a small part of a much larger and more ancient story.
And it highlights the importance of understanding and respecting the natural world.
Well said. And on that note, we'll take a short pause to gather our thoughts and prepare to dive even deeper into this incredible phenomenon.
Sounds good.
Stay tuned for the next part of our deep dive, where we'll explore even more fascinating aspects of the sixth ocean in the making.
Boy, I can't wait. Yeah, it really makes you think about how we perceive time.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It's great.
Why we think of continents as like these permanent things.
Right.
But this just shows us how dynamic and ever-changing our planet really is.
It's humbling.
It is. It makes you realize that what we think of as solid and unchanging is actually in constant motion.
It's just on a time scale that's hard to grasp.
Exactly.
I can only imagine how excited the scientific community must be about this.
Oh, absolutely.
This has to be like a dream come true for geologists and other researchers who study these kinds of phenomena.
Oh, yeah. It's a front row seat to witnessing plate tectonics and continental drift in action. Wow. Processes that usually happen so slowly,
Okay.
they're almost imperceptible.
It's like a living laboratory
Exactly.
for scientists
Yeah.
to study these forces.
It's like having a time machine. Instead of just looking at clues from the past, they can actually observe these changes happening now.
That's so cool.
Yeah. And, it's not just valuable for understanding the past.
What do you mean?
Well, it also has huge implications for predicting the future.
Oh,
The data being collected from the East African Rift
Yeah.
is helping scientists refine their models
Nah,
and make more accurate predictions about how our planet will continue to evolve.
that's fascinating.
It is, isn't it?
So we've talked a lot about the geological and ecological impacts,
Yeah.
but I'm curious about the economic implications.
Okay.
New coastlines and trade routes obviously have huge economic potential,
Right.
but what about resources?
Yeah, good question.
Could this new ocean basin hold valuable mineral deposits or oil reserves?
That's a great question, and one that's at the forefront of many minds.
Okay.
New oceanic crust is often rich in valuable mineral deposits.
Really?
So this could be a significant economic boon for the countries involved.
It sounds like a potential gold mine,
It does, doesn't it?
but it also sounds like a potential source of conflict,
And
right?
unfortunately, you're right.
Okay.
The potential for conflict is definitely there,
Yeah.
which is why it's so important for the international community to address this proactively.
What do you mean?
While ensuring any resources are managed sustainably and equitably,
Right.
that'll be crucial to avoid potential disputes.
It sounds like a delicate balancing act.
It is.
Harnessing the potential economic benefits
Right.
while mitigating the risks
Yeah,
and ensuring fairness.
absolutely. Open dialogue and cooperation between the countries involved, as well as with international organizations, that'll be essential
Right.
to navigate this complex landscape.
This deep dive has been full of fascinating insights,
It has.
but it's also raised a lot of questions.
Yeah.
I keep thinking about the impact on wildlife.
Okay.
We've talked about new species evolving, but what about the animals that are already there?
Right.
How will they adapt to a changing landscape? Will some species be able to thrive in this new environment, or will many face extinction?
That's a crucial question, and one that ecologists are intensely focused on.
Yeah.
As habitats shrink and shift, some species will undoubtedly struggle to survive.
It's a stark reminder that this incredible natural phenomena
Yeah,
also comes with significant challenges for the existing ecosystems.
for sure.
What about conservation efforts? Are there any plans in place to protect vulnerable species as these changes occur?
Yes, conservation organizations are actively working to assess the potential impacts on wildlife
Okay.
and develop strategies for protecting vulnerable species.
Like what?
This includes things like establishing protected areas, creating wildlife corridors to connect fragmented habitats,
Okay.
and implementing programs to monitor and manage populations.
It sounds like a monumental task,
It is.
considering the scale and complexity of the changes.
Definitely, but it's essential work.
Right.
We have a responsibility to protect the incredible biodiversity of this region. Yeah. Even as it undergoes such a profound transformation.
I'm hopeful that with careful planning and collaboration, we can find ways to navigate these changes in a way that benefits both people and the natural world.
I agree. Finding that balance will be key.
You know, this whole conversation has really highlighted how interconnected everything is.
Yeah, it has.
The geological changes, the ecological impacts, the human consequences, it's all interwoven.
Absolutely.
It's almost like watching a domino effect unfold across time and space.
It's a powerful reminder that we're all part of a larger system,
Right.
and our actions have ripple effects.
Throughout that system.
Exactly. And understanding these connections is crucial
Yeah.
as we navigate the challenges and opportunities.
That this sixth ocean presents.
Right.
It's a story that's still being written, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
We're just seeing the early chapters.
We are.
And it's hard to know what twists and turns lie ahead.
It really is a story for the ages, and it's unfolding right before our eyes. And the most exciting part, we don't know how it will end.
Okay, before we get ahead of ourselves,
Yeah.
I want to bring us back to the present.
Okay.
We've talked a lot about the long-term implications,
Right.
but what about the immediate future?
Okay.
What are some of the specific things people living in East Africa might experience in the coming decades as this rifting continues?
Mm-hmm.
What are the immediate challenges they'll face?
Well, that's a crucial question.
It is.
While the full formation of the ocean is millions of years away,
Right.
the impacts of the rifting process are already being felt.
Like what?
One of the most pressing concerns is the increase in seismic activity.
Okay.
As the plates continue to pull apart, we can expect more frequent
Uh-huh.
and potentially stronger earthquakes.
So it's not just a gradual process.
No,
There's a real element of unpredictability and danger.
there is.
These earthquakes could have devastating consequences for communities in the region.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important for scientists to continue monitoring the rift.
Yeah. Okay. And for governments to invest in preparedness measures to mitigate the potential risks.
What kind of measures?
Well, things like early warning systems,
Yeah.
building codes that can withstand earthquakes,
Okay.
and community education programs.
That makes sense.
Yeah, they're all vital.
Are there any other immediate concerns we should be aware of? What about the volcanic activity we discussed earlier?
Yeah, volcanic activity is definitely another factor to consider.
Hooray.
We've already seen eruptions in the region.
Right.
And as the rift widens, there's a possibility of increased volcanic activity.
And that could pose risks to nearby populations?
Yes, and it could also have implications for air travel and climate patterns.
It sounds like a lot to keep an eye on.
There is.
Are there any efforts underway to monitor these potential risks and protect the people living in the affected areas?
Absolutely.
Are scientists and governments working together to address these challenges?
Yes, scientists from around the world are collaborating to study the East African Rift System.
Using advanced technologies
To do what?
to monitor seismic activity, volcanic eruptions, and ground deformation.
And this data is crucial
Yeah.
for understanding the risks
Yeah.
and for developing early warning systems to help protect communities.
Exactly.
That's reassuring to hear.
Yeah, it's a testament to the power of scientific collaboration
Yeah.
and the importance of investing in research and monitoring to safeguard our planet and its inhabitants.
Well, this has been incredibly insightful.
It has been.
It feels like we've only just scratched the surface of this incredible story.
I know, it really is fascinating.
It's humbling to realize how much we still have to learn about our planet
Yeah.
and the forces that shape it.
It's a constant reminder that we're part of something much larger than ourselves.
I agree.
And we're only just beginning to understand the intricate workings of our planet.
Well, I'm eager to dive even deeper into this mystery in the making.
Okay.
But before we do,
Yeah.
let's take a quick pause to reflect on what we've learned so far. We'll be back soon with the final part of our deep dive, where we'll explore some of the broader implications of this sixth ocean and what it might mean for the future of our planet. Okay, we're back, ready to wrap up this deep dive.
I am. It's been a fascinating journey.
It has. You know, it's amazing to think that we're actually, living through a time when a new ocean is being born.
I know, right?
It really makes you wonder how future generations will look back on all this.
That's a really interesting thought.
Yeah, imagine them, studying the geological record and trying to piece together what happened
Oh, totally. They might even have their own myths and legends.
about the birth of this ocean.
Exactly. Stories passed down through generations.
I love that.
It kind of makes you realize that even huge events like this are just small chapters in the Earth's long and complicated story.
Absolutely. This deep dive has definitely ignited my curiosity,
Mine too.
and I'm sure our listeners are feeling the same way.
I hope so.
So before we wrap things up,
Okay.
where would you recommend they start if they want to explore this topic further?
Well, if you're looking for a great visual overview, the BBC documentary Africa's Great Rift Valley is a must-see.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that one.
It's incredible, right?
The footage is stunning.
It really brings the story to life.
For sure. What about something more, in-depth?
For a deeper dive into the science, I'd recommend the website of the Geological Society of America.
Sure.
They have a ton of information on plate tectonics
Uh-huh.
and the East African Rift, including research articles and interactive maps.
Those are great resources. Thanks for sharing.
You're welcome.
This whole conversation has been a whirlwind
It has.
of information and insights. I feel like I've gained a whole new understanding of our planet.
That's great to hear.
You know, one thing that keeps coming back to me is the human element of all this.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
We talked about the science, the geography, the potential conflicts.
Uh-huh.
But how do you think this event will shape the cultural identity of East Africa in the long run?
That's a really interesting question.
It is.
It's hard to say for sure, but it's fascinating to think about how the formation of this new ocean will be woven into the history and culture of the region.
Right. Will it inspire new traditions, new art forms?
Exactly. New ways of understanding their place in the world.
It's a story that's just beginning.
It is. It's a reminder that even as we study the Earth's physical changes, we can't forget about the human stories
That are intertwined with them.
Right. They're what makes these events truly meaningful.
This deep dive has been full of mind-blowing revelations, from the science behind continental drift to the potential impacts on ecosystems, cultures, and even global weather patterns.
It's incredible, isn't it?
It is, and it's clear that the formation of this sixth ocean is a story that will continue to unfold for millions of years to come.
I agree.
It's been a privilege to explore it with you.
The pleasure was all mine. It's a story that I think we'll both continue to follow with fascination.
Well, that brings us to the end of our deep dive into the sixth ocean in the making. To all our listeners, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep those questions coming.
We love hearing from you.
We'll see you next time for another deep dive into a new and fascinating topic.
Sounds good.
Until then, stay curious.